Come back home, Ambazonians, to your home now. This is our country. We need to be free. I want to be free. They say the sun, they say the moon will shine on Ambazonia. Hallelujah. They say the sun will shine someday. They say the moon on Ambazonia. Hallelujah. I want to be free in my homeland called Ambazonia. Hallelujah. It's been 6 years, it's been 10 years, it's been 49 years. We've been alone. Ambazonia. They say we'll be free through SCYL. Ambazonia, free my homeland. I now know that you mustn't forget the plebiscite of 1960, interpolitical strategy held by their Majesty El Haj Aijo. Interpolitical strategy, scientific atrocity held in Come back home, Ambazonians, to your homeland. This is our country. We need to be free.
Good evening, my fellow countrymen and women. It's good to be back here tonight to speak to you about our country, the plight of our people, and the indomitable spirit of the vast majority of Ambazonians to write the last chapter of the colonial occupation of our country on the streets of Oku, Mutengene, Kumba, and Umojok. I'm grateful to be here tonight to speak about the reality we face. First, I want to thank the people of the United States for the great reception they gave me, for the wonderful people I met, with whom I discussed about our plight, the state of our struggle, and where we are headed to. These are difficult moments. I can understand the tragedy, the pain, and the confusion that sometimes reign in the mind of our people, especially when we consider the sacrifices that we have made and continue to make, the pain and anguish in the minds of those locked in prisons. We are a determined people. And I want to assure you tonight that block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood, as it has been shown today in Oku, as it was shown in Umoja, in Menji, in Mutengene, and across the entire territory of the state of Ambazonia, that we will prevail over the banality of evil that has been installed in our land. In the past few weeks, a lot has been going on. Conferences and conclaves have been taking place across the globe. We've had meetings in Houston. We have meetings in Nigeria. And in the coming weeks, Ambazonians across Europe and beyond will be assembling in Brussels to consolidate the gains that we have made thus far, to strengthen our resolve and to build bridges where there are troughs and speak where we couldn't, I am confident going forward that despite the confusion, despite the almost state of anarchy, Ambazonians are united in one purpose: the defeat of the colonial regime within the state of Ambazonia. And if you ever doubted your indomitable spirit, if you ever doubted the resolve of Ambazonians to bundle out the colonial regime, I want you to take stock. Take stock in the last 55 years. Each battle fought, we have prevailed. We have not been able to win the war, but we have defeated Cameroon in every battle. They've shut down our entire system. They've deprived us of economic opportunities. They've taken away our possibilities by blockading our entire territory from having internet. But the creative mindset of Ambazonians has ensured that we are still able to communicate. We are still able to conclave. We are able to design strategies and make sure they are implemented. We brought them on their knees in different battles. And I want to assure you that going forward, we will bring them on their knees. We will defeat them from our homeland. And we will write the last chapter of our story by ourselves. The story of Ambazonians, the brave people who've lived under colonial bondage for 55 years, but have not been on their knees. Going forward, I have a couple of clarifications to make. I want to talk about the Southern Cameroons Defense Force. In 2003, when we rescued Dr. Akwanga Ebenezer from the Kondenge Maximum Security Prison, in Sheraton Hotel in Nigeria, in Abuja, we announced the creation of the Southern Cameroons Defense Force as a defensive force to defend the territorial integrity of the state of Ambazonia, defend our people, and to protect the dignity of our women and our children. In the past 10 or more years, SCYL has been active, and we will continue to be active under the political platform of the Ambazonian Governing Council in concert with the Southern Cameroons Youth League. I want to invite every Ambazonian, able-bodied men and women, the valiant soldiers who fought battles unarmed across the entire territory, to be part of this last design for the defense of our homeland and the evacuation of our territory from an evil beast that has tormented us, that has given us pain. This is our time. Block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood. I have said that we are going to have a holistic approach to the liberation of our homeland. In my discussions with comrades across the world, I have told them that we have a bold plan, a tested strategy that is going to liberate us from the occupation of Cameroon. This is what we have coined as the 3A approach, a triad approach that combines direct diplomacy, internationalization of our struggle, and self-defense. You know, Ambazonia is part of an international system. It is connected economically, socially, and politically to individual states and international institutions. The creation of new states will be determined by international institutions across the continent, across the world. To be recognized as a state, we need application to the United Nations and the African Union. And so we must engage in targeted diplomacy. And we have been doing that in the past few years. We try to talk to other countries to understand our pain and our plight, to make sure that on prime time, when we are able to control our land, And when we submit our application for membership to the United Nations, we must have done our homework to ensure a smooth recognition of the state of Ambazonia. So one approach which we have adopted is targeted diplomacy. And I can tell you that we've been doing a lot of work. We've been winning the sympathy of different states, stakeholders, and other actors in the international political arena. I also understand that we live in an interconnected world. One of the important strategies that the African National Congress employed to defeat the apartheid regime in South Africa was to make sure it exposes the situation in South Africa. The internationalization of our struggle is important. Across the world, people have been holding demonstrations. In the past few hours, our comrades and colleagues in Rome were having a meeting with the Pope. They raised our flag to show the people who we are, to win their sympathy. In the United States, I was in New York, where we had a demonstration to expose the pain of our people and to inform the international community of what is happening in our country. In London, in South Korea, in Japan, in Asia, and other places, we've been doing our bit to make sure that the world knows about us. We must continue to internationalize the struggle. This approach is important, not only for political awareness, but for humanitarian and human rights advocacy and protection. The more they know our pain, the more they are going to come to our support. The more they are going to advocate for us. The more they are going to stand by us when we need them. And so we must continue to internationalize our struggle through our friends and networks and by carrying out protests in front of international institutions. We are doing a great service for our country and for our cause. But all of these things will mean nothing. It doesn't matter how long you speak to diplomat. It doesn't matter how long you demonstrate in front of New York. We are all aware of what we were told a couple of days ago. That the Amazonian situation is a domestic matter which can be handled by Cameroon. That it doesn't threaten international peace and security. Despite the fact that we have hundreds of people in jail. Despite the fact that dozens have been killed. Despite the fact that in 2003 we won a landmark case at the African Commission on Human and People's Rights. Despite all the international efforts at the UNPO, the Human Rights Committee, Human Rights Council, and other agencies of the United Nations, the United Nations, the United Kingdom still believe that our struggle, our cause does not threaten international peace and security. But this is not the reason why we should defend our land. The last approach to our liberation is not because the United Nations or the United Kingdom believes ours is not threatening to international peace and security. It is because we are dealing with the banality of evil that does not understand dialogue. We are dealing with a state that reciprocates with violence when our people call for a simple reformation of the system. We are dealing with a state that kidnaps Agbobala and Dr. Fontaine, Tatingu, Njusi, and others for simply asking for a right our voices to be heard. We are dealing with a state that killed Akum, raped our girls in Boya. They make a mockery of our international effort. They ask us to dare them if we can. Oh yes, the brave people of Oko dare them today. Block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood. They showed again that we are indomitable. We are undefeatable. We are stronger than they have perceived us. And I can show you, my people, if we arm our people, if we provide our people with the minimum support for self-defense, it will take us a few weeks to bundle out the colonial regime, have a state to call our own. build a regime that respects our rights and listens to us as a people, and live to think about do never meet. We are not going to war. We are at war. We are at war in which only one side is armed and has acted with impunity, and we've never had a chance to fight back like valiant soldiers to tell them that they can take our land, our lives, but they will never control our land. I am sure from the brave women who have been writing in social media, the valiant men and boys across the globe who are asking us to provide them with the means to defend our cities. I can tell you the time is coming. Prepare yourself. Control your neighborhood. We are going to fight Cameroon block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood, until we have a space to call our own, a land free of terror and tyranny of the minority. I want our people to be encouraged by all the efforts that are taking place across the globe. There is something I'd like to tell all of you. We are not as divided as most people proclaim. The issue of division is sometimes exacerbated by our people. When I was in New York, I had a chance to have a conversation with Mr. Bo, Larry Young, and others. I'm glad they are attending our town hall. We're indebted in gratitude for that. We must have this conversation. I want our people to be patient. Transforming a conflict situation into one of accommodation where we can have conversation is not a day's job. It's difficult. You must give the leaders time to have these background discussions, construct a platform that is sustainable. That is why I and Dr. Akwanga and Comrade Benedict, we agreed in Washington that we were going to support SCYL initiative. It's a wonderful initiative. In the past 2 days, we have appointed 2 persons to join hands with Comrade Tassang and others and the other nationalist leaders to build a sustainable platform. And I want you to understand this. Some initiatives are good. Most initiatives are good. But we must build platforms that are realistic and reflect the objective for which we have designed those platforms. SCYL has a lot of work to do. And I am going to make sure with my comrades and colleagues that we help build a veritable platform that is representative of the nationalist movement, functions in a way that gives our people confidence that it can represent the aspirations of our people. It's going to take tough negotiations. It's going to take building of bridges where only valleys have existed. But I'm confident that with the talents and specialist mindsets who designed this initiative, that we are going to keep our individual differences aside and uphold the aspirations of the vast majority of our people, that we come together to defend their interests and ensure that our country is liberated from the tyranny of Cameroon. But I want to warn against overzealous expectations. If we are expecting a platform that is vertical in nature, one supreme leader, we may be disappointed. Constructing a unitary platform takes time. This transition from one model to the other. I do not expect that we are going to resolve the conflict amongst the movements, but I think we can manage conflicts to be beneficial for our liberation. And we must have this in the back of our mind. Every year, in the struggle, make sure that they work together, minimize conflict in public, and deal with differences in the background. I am not going to come out here to make public statements, condemnations, or whatsoever. But all the leaders know they are playing with fire if they put their interests above the interests of our people. The time is coming when everyone will be held accountable. Not by what they did, but by what they didn't do to make sure we first and build a platform that is going to defend our interests and ensure that the spirit of those who have gone before us was never lost in vain. I want to let all of you know that we're having conversations. The coming weeks and months will be full of activities. A lot is happening in the background more than it's happening in social media. I want you people, if you have lingering questions, reach out to the leaders privately. I make sure I give about 1 hour a day to answer your questions, to make sure I can assure you about where we are headed to. And I want to use this opportunity again to reaffirm my commitment and the commitment of my team in the Ambazonian Governing Council and beyond the Southern Cameroons Youth League. That we are determined, we are committed to the last man to ensure that Cameroon is bundled out of Ambazonia. That is a promise I'm going to take to my grave. And you have to know that for the past 25 years, I have kept my word. And I'm going to keep this one. What I also like you to know is that the situation on the ground is a bit precarious. We have a lot of activists who have been kidnapped and transported to Yaoundé. In the next week, our valiant soldiers who are detained in Kondengi will be appearing in the colonial courts of Cameroon. We continue to extend our support to them. We should continue to pray for them, but most importantly, by our actions, we assure them that the reason for which they were kidnapped and detained, we still stand today to defend the cause for which they've sacrificed a lot. We will never surrender until we ensure Agbobala, Fontem, Tatingo, Njusi, Numvi Walters in Bamenda Detention Prison, Nkongso Stephen, that all of these men and women who've lost their freedom for a just cause to ensure that one day Ambazonia should be free, that it wasn't done in vain. You should also know that prosecuting a resistance struggle is quite expensive. So I call on you all to continue to make your donations, to continue to support the underground resistance. It takes us a lot of nerves, a lot of financial input to be able to undertake activities that make sure ghost towns are respected. I call on our people across the globe. You have to make sacrifices. Freedom wouldn't be given on a platter of gold. Invest in your own liberation so you can own its outcome. This is an investment of your lifetime. It's an investment that is not going to fail you. It's an investment that your children will be proud you made. So I call on all of you to continuously support the different initiatives and the different platforms. I want you to support the AGC. We are the soldiers. We are the patriot volunteers. We are the defenders of your freedom, your right to exist as a free people. We have the scars to show it. In the coming weeks, I will be making a tour of the United States. I want to reach out to our people across the different states in the US. I want to talk to them about our strategy, our plans. I want to transform the United States from a conflict zone where different platforms are tussling and fighting into a peaceful area where they can cooperate and ensure that they bring forth their strength to enable our country to be free. Maryland, Washington, Houston, Colorado, Minnesota, Boston, and all the other places, I am coming to have a conversation with you about what it's going to take for us to be free. I don't want you to live in illusions. I don't want you to believe in false prophets and promises. It's going to take a lot more than singing, than ghost towns and strikes. It's going to take ultimate sacrifices, our lives, our blood, our entire investment. And some of us might not be there to see the end. But as Martin Luther King said, we as a people will be there. We as a people will be there to occupy our homeland and ensure that the blood of those who have died before wasn't spilled in vain. I'll be going to Asia. I'll be going to different places. This is the last stand. And I want every Ambazonian across the world, every Ambazonian citizen, to be part of this campaign. It is not enough to criticize, to condemn. It's not enough to sit back and watch. You have to be engaged. We have taken over the international scene. We are making Cameroon uncomfortable out here. We are making sure that, Mr. Bia, if you are going to Rome, if you are going to Italy, our comrades are waiting for you. All those companies and hotels that are cooperating to make sure he lives there on the plight of our people. We want to inform you that we are watching, and we will not sit by to allow you to cooperate with the tyranny that has robbed us of dignity and a life in peace. But it's not enough to take over the international scene. We must claim our homeland. And for that to happen, we must defeat the occupier by fighting block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood. It's not going to be done otherwise. All what we do at the international scene is to prepare our state for prime time, to make sure that the international community understands who we are, what we want, what is at stake. The real battle is at the homeland, as it was fought to the Noko, as it was fought in Oyumojo, as the valiant soldiers of Kumba are doing in Mengi, who stopped the exploitation of our resources. You know the incidences that we abhor, the burning of the food market in Bamenda, where we are still trying to gather intelligence, know what happened. Those are acts of arson which sometimes are inconsistent with the approaches that we have adopted. I want to tell Francophones and Nigerians who still operate businesses during ghost towns that you're violating our laws and there are consequences for that violation. When we say ghost towns, it means ghost towns. Don't be despaired because some schools are open. It is not because you haven't fought hard enough. You should understand you're fighting against an established autocracy that existed for more than 100 years. You're fighting against a more powerful enemy that is more equipped. And in every struggle, you should know that there will be setbacks. But we will reverse those setbacks. I want to let our people know that we must endure pain, sacrifice, for us to be free. I want to thank the Bayam Selams, our mothers who've kept their kids at home. I want to thank the teachers who've sacrificed an entire school year, the private school teachers who are going without pay, the lawyers who've lost their chambers and then are living in squalor. Ambazonia hears you. We're proud of you. We're proud of your sacrifices. It wouldn't go in vain. That's a promise we've made to those who've died. And it's a promise I'm making to all of you who continue to sacrifice today. I want to also thank you all in the diaspora. They shut down our internet you devise alternative means of communication. For the first time, our women are out speaking loud and clear. Our ladies in Germany showed us last week. The United States, bloggers, social media activists, they've been taking on the tyranny amongst us. They've been showing our men how to do business. And I want our ladies to take control. You should understand there are your kids who are in jail. There are your husbands who have been kidnapped. You are the majority. Men have been in charge for the past 55 years and we have failed. I invite you women to get yourself more educated about the struggle. Take charge of the destiny of your kids. And to make sure that we build an Ambazonia that respects your rights as women, the majority in our society, and those who sacrifice a lot more, not only in Ambazonia but across the world. This is your time, this is our time as a people to give it all for our country. It's not enough to sit here and speak out. It's not enough to decry the inhumanity with which our people are treated. It's not enough to just complain about what is not being done and what should be done. Take charge. This is the first time in the history of our struggle that we have adopted a bottom-up approach where our people are in control. Leaders are scrambling to follow the dictate of our people. Fellow Ambazonians, you have fought hard. You've sacrificed a lot. An entire school year is gone. Our lawyers have shown us that they can shut their chambers to ensure we are free. Our mothers, our children, people who work in markets, taxi drivers, bike riders, have shown us that they can sacrifice for a free country. You will have to sacrifice more. But I can assure you, with all respect for the difficulties ahead, that Ambazonia will be free. It will be free from the tyranny of Cameroon. And that we have designed a post-independence plan for our country. We don't simply count on the natural resources. We count on the human resources, the ingenuity of Ambazonians, the talents, entrepreneurial spirit of our people. We count on these talents to build a unique country in Africa that provides opportunities for its people. We count on the ingenuity of Ambazonians to build an economic situation, a political platform in an independent state that is going to give power to the people. It's going to create a world of resources, an avenue for other countries to be able to go through to ensure that Africa emulates our example. We have designed a post-economic system that is going to be beneficial for every citizen of Ambazonia. And I want to assure everyone who sacrificed today that you must continue. You must continue to fight block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood, to make sure we shorten the day of Cameroon in our country. And I stand here as your humble servant to make sure that day comes sooner than later. God bless you all. God bless Ambazonia.